Kia ora everybody and welcome to the extraordinary Friday District Council meeting. Now, as you see through our agendas, and I'll remind everyone, this session is live streamed, so please remember that the public are watching. Also, councillors, as point one, we've already had a cut here at the beginning of the day, and Councillor Cooper, who started off the day, I'm sure he'll be ready to finish it off as well. Again, if there's any declarations of interest, please make them known as we go through. We have apologies at this present moment from Councillor Govich, and we have Councillor Holmes on the teams. So we'll now move into item 4.1. Oh, sorry, yes. I'll move the apologies. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Peters, all in favour?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you very much. Item 4.1. Councillor Reid, you are going to move this one.
Thank you, Your Worship. We have an updated recommendation, and that is that Council 1 requests staff prepare detailed operating budgets for the 23-24 annual plan, based on approving the following as the preferred option. 10.9% to general rates, with 3% to be allocated, and I'd like to change one word in here and remove transportation and put roading in. Second point, 7.9% to wastewater targeted rates. Third point, 5.9% to targeted water rates, including metered water LGCI average. Fourth point, 5.9% to flood targeted rates LGCI average. Or 2, consults on an alternative rates increase comprised of 7.9% general rates increase as set in the long-term plan 21-31 and resolved on December 22, 2022, with 2.5% to be allocated, and here again I would like to change transportation to roading. 7.9% to targeted wastewater rates, 5.9% to water targeted rates, including metered water LGCI average. And lastly, 5.9% to flood targeted rates LGCI average. 3, notes that the implications of a potentially larger increase will also be outlined within the consultation document. 4, notes that growth will be allowed for in expected revenue from rates in accordance with the 21-31 long-term plan. This budget assumption is to account for growth in new rateable properties and allows for an additional 1% for general rates and 0.8% for wastewater and water.
Okay, so Councillor Reid has moved. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Olsen. Councillor Reid, would you like to read that? Would you like to talk to it now, please?
I've managed to catch my breath, thank you, Your Worship. With the inclement weather we've experienced over the last few months, our district has suffered quite massively, roading-wise and general infrastructure, not to mention physically and mentally. It's been quite trying for everybody in the district, and in particular our staff who have been trying to make sure that everybody stays connected. To try and attract the best money possible from government, we need to be seen to be active, proactive, in putting as much money as we can out of our rates take towards roading. That we will ask the public to back us on, and we've given them some options to do that. So with that, I'm happy to move that motion. Thank you.
Is there Councillor Connor?
Question first,
Yes.
please. In regards to the alteration from transportation to roading, can staff give us an idea of what that may implicate in the case? My concern is if there was a roading area that needed to be upgraded, including a footpath on the side, that the roading would get priority and that would miss out. Whilst there are people out there that require footpaths and other transportation to be able to get around. I'm supportive of it. I just want to know what that could impact us.
So thank you, Councillor Connor. Just to explain here, Councillor Reid has made it to roading because this is to do with the flood damage. Now, all the flood damaged areas that we've had, or major damage which has happened because of the storm, has happened on our rural roads, not really on the urban roads which have got footpaths. So while I understand what you're highlighting there, I'm wondering whether Jim would like to comment any further on that? No? Don, would you like to add anything? Because there's still a budget item in there for transportation, but this is specifically around Cyclone Gabriel's storm damage. Is that a good enough answer for you?
For now. I'm going to speak to it if I could.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing this to us, and I've raised this in one of our briefings as well, and I think the only thing that I've heard more than not wanting to put the rates up is the fact that we are currently, in some places, not able to deliver on what we're promising. And this is something that we need to be able to get over the line to actually provide these services and deal with the issues that are created from issues around the place. One such issue is maintenance on locations such as shared pathways that we have managed to get funding from central government through one way, shape or form, and we've been given it, and then we have to maintain it with the existing budget. This then stretches the staff that have to do this to who knows how much, which then also impacts on the levels of service that we can actually provide. So whilst it's difficult to see a large rates rise, I also acknowledge that we are fortunate in the space that we are one of the lower ones in the country, and I'm really hoping that we get some good feedback from the public in the annual plan. We're also acknowledging this is an annual plan, not a long-term plan, and we can only do so much, but that we can actually get some good feedback to get those services over the line to keep the level of service up that people expect.
Any other councillors? The councillors want to make a comment? Councillor Benny?
Yeah, I've got a little bit of different slide on it, and I've got to be consistent here. Several months ago we had an election, and I can just guarantee you, except for Councillor Hulse, the remainder would not have gone in. If you would have been asked the question, would you put the rates up by more than 10%, every single person would have said no. So it's really funny now to see that we're all just going to go with the 10.9%. We're one of the lowest in the country. I'm thinking of the young kids with mortgages who are now paying an extra $300 or $400 a week because their mortgage rates have gone up because of all the other fees that have gone up, because of all the issues that we've got, and we are just going to contribute to that. I understand the reasons for it, but I'm going to be consistent, and I will not be going with number one on this one.
Thanks, Councillor Benny. Councillor Goyardi?
Yeah, just to basically sort of reiterate what Councillor Benny has said there, I 100% agree with him, so yes, I won't be going with, I'm going with the alternative option. Thank you.
That's a good one.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I think the question of rates is always a vexed question, isn't it? And well, I remember the meetings around election time, and like Councillor Benny and Councillor Golightly have put forward the argument that we said we wouldn't put up rates. I too was out there saying that if we did spend your money, we would spend it wisely. And I guess that's the part of this argument that's been put forward that I'd like to address. We, when we were campaigning, of course, We did not know that we were going to have a cyclone. We did not know we were going to have the wettest summer on record. Now we can respond to that, or we can pretend it didn't happen. But the reality is that it did happen. The reality is that it affected our roading network to a degree that we haven't seen for a long time as a district. And the reality is that if we don't address that roading network and provide the income to deal with it, then we will be further lowering the standard of service for our people in our district, in particular the rural people. So the question that I ask myself as we prepare a document to go out for consultation for the annual plan is, do we want to address a change of situation that none of us foresaw? Do we want to pretend it didn't happen for the sake of being able to say that we're not going to put the rates up by a certain amount? Do we want to give the one thing, the main thing that the rural people get for their rates, which is a network of roads which enables them to go about their business without damage to their cars, as we're getting emails about, without the dangerous situations of one lane due to slips that are some places still to be cleared. And so therefore, I think we have to look reality in the eye. I think most people understand that there is a requirement to put more funding into this area. And so therefore I support the motion as it's been put by Councillor Reid.
Thank you, Councillor Cooper. Councillor Luca.
I just wanted to endorse Councillor Benny. It's a bit of a moral dilemma, I guess, for me. I understand the necessity completely that we need money to pay for our services. I understand it completely, but at the same time, I feel like we're assuming that every single ratepayer will then be able to afford what the 10.9% rate increase. So we're assuming that every single person is then going to pay their rates at their rate increase. Potentially they're not. So potentially we're using what if to plan for our future. So it's a bit of a moral dilemma for me. I'm the same as Councillor Benny. Getting to the 7.9% was kind of as far as I would let myself get to, I guess, in that argument. So, yeah.
Councillor Harding.
Thank you, Matua. I think what I do support is that we are going out for consultation. That we can make a call ourselves here when we are wanting to be transparent and accountable. And I'm going to leave that just right here. Thank you very much.
I'm just going to go to Councillor Holmes. He's on the screen over here. Councillor Holmes.
Thank you, Your Worship. So it's a real dilemma. Nobody wants to see rates going up, let alone more than inflated. But I think these are extraordinary times. The cyclone was a bit of a game changer for the district, and it's not going to be an isolated incident going forward. It's the first of many, I suspect, we'll see. And what it did do was highlight the precarious state of our essential infrastructure, which we knew anyway. But I think we've been stretching our maintenance to breaking point almost. And what the cyclone has done is expose that lack of, it's the vulnerability that's exposed. So it's an extraordinary position we find ourselves in. We are one of the lowest rated districts in the country. But essentially it's like everything else, you get what you pay for. And our infrastructure is badly in need of upgrading so that we don't constantly have these problems. So I endorse what Councillor Harding said. I think it's essential that as a council we are transparent and open, and we go out for consultation and we listen to what our residents say. And fundamentally, this is about spending whatever we take rates wisely. And I think that's the crux of this. Raising extra money to the rates is one thing, but our ratepayers, our residents, our citizens will quite rightly hold us to account to make sure that whatever we take from them, whatever the numbers we land on, we spend wisely and we improve their standard of living. So, on balance, I support option one, reluctantly, because I can see no other option at the moment if we're going to improve the standard of service that we deliver as a council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Holmes. Councillor Peters.
And I support option 2 because.
Can I just do a point of order, please?
Yeah.
Sorry, not on what you're saying. I've got a concern.
Yeah.
This is a consultation document that we're going out for people to do. And whilst I'm already hearing comments about people supporting one way or another, and could that put those councillors into a position where they're predetermining a position? Because I don't want that to happen. I support what Councillor Harding has said about we're going out to consultation. These are what we've been provided to be able to go out.
Councillor Connor, you've already spoken. Your point of order has been noted, and the councillors are well aware that this is a consultation. This is about going to consultation. At this present moment, Councillor Benny has highlighted that this is his preference. It is not a predetermination because, again, we are going out for consultation. That is what the document is talking about. So, thank you for your point of order.
And people were saying option 1 or option 2. It's only one option on the table for us to talk to right now.
That is correct, Councillor Connor. There's only one option on the table. This is all part of that one option.
I know, but we've just
Your point of order has been noted, Councillor Connor. Councillor Peters.
The reason that I do is because I agree with Councillor Holmes. This event is not a one-off, probably, and we actually need to provide, at the first instance, we have to provide connectivity in our area, and we would be remiss not to do so. And yeah, that's my main point. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to ask you a question. No?
that was within that.
Yeah, okay.
What's-
So
what's
you've
the-
done a point of
Did you
order,
ask
that's fine.
me for a question?
No.
No.
Councillor Olsen.
Just a couple of things. If this goes ahead, the increase in rates, are public still able to access rate rebates? Yes, thank you. The other thing is, I think now, from what I can gather from people I have spoken to in the community, now would be the time to put this increase in place because everyone wants to see our roads back up and running. So if we're going to do it, I think this is the perfect time to do it. Yeah.
Councillor Holst, I saw your hand up. Did you?
Quite happy to go last.
I don't think anyone else is.
I've got a question.
You got a question, Councillor? Yes.
So are we going to use every unforeseen event to bring the rates increases back to this council every time we do it? And because I'm hearing the cyclone is to blame for a lot of this, and Councillor Peters is exactly right. There are going to be a lot more unforeseen events. Are we going to keep coming back with increased rises because of this, or is this a one-off?
Councillor Bennett, that's a very good question, and this is from my mind, this is very much a one-off coming into the public because of the event that has happened. I don't see us coming back to the public again and again and again. However, that is up to the councillors and up to all councillors to decide on that. At this present moment, the recommendation that's been put down here is the two options, which is 10.9 and 7.9, two distinct different options to go out to the public for consultation on, with the preferred option being 10.9. If the public come back and choose to say no, they would like it less, as councillors, that is the right thing that we do. We take their word into it, or we turn around and say no, this is because of knowledge that we have, we can go to this point. Again, that will come to that at that time for the debate. This is, again, as has been stated, this is for consultation. So, from my understanding and from what I'm hearing from what do you call yourself, Dom?
I'll run with acting chief.
Acting chief executive. He is, you are saying this is basically just the one-off, isn't it?
Oh, sorry, just to clarify, I mean, there are a range of factors we worked councillors through, and weather events was one of those. There were also inflations, there were pressures in other areas, there were cost savings factored into it, so it was a full process that we went through. Certainly won't comment on debate, but fundamentally, the weather event is one-off with additional caps in there.
No, I made my point. Thank you.
Councillor Mackenzie?
I would like to acknowledge the work done by staff. They've gone through their budgets line by line and found a substantial saving for the annual plan, which hasn't been commented on thus far. These options are predicated on those savings being made. So there are already cuts being made. And that's important to acknowledge. We're starting to see those flow through as well in meetings. In the last couple of days, we've had things come up that would have been going ahead, which are now not going ahead because of cuts being made. I think it's very important that these options are carefully articulated in the communication and the consultation documents, so that the public really have all of the information to assess the two options and make an informed decision.
Councillor Austin, did you have another question?
Yes, I did have a question. Thank you. So if we're talking about increasing the rates for roading and repairs, will that be just remedial work, or will that be work that will involve this not happening again? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, is it just going to be fix the holes, or is it going to be fix the road so it doesn't?
Dominic will answer this question.
Thank you.
So just a broader comment, there's an allocation for roading, and then there's also additional allocation for which we work through increases in other areas like maintenance contracts and proactive management around those. One of the allocations was around mechanical drain clearing, which is about preventing stormwater affecting our roads and things like that. We haven't gone to the specifics of how we allocate, and I'll hand back to the Mayor and if the Chair would want to comment on that, but certainly there are measures in place and funding put in to proactively manage storm events going forward.
Thank you.
Probably the only other thing I'd just add to what Jim's saying there is actually more to do with the fact that when we've got the roading, this is on precursors that we can actually get subsidies from central government as well, and this is to help, and the central government can actually provide extra funding towards us. Again, that does depend on whether the public choose it as goes out for consultation.
Good point.
So, you know, we're making a good faith effort here to say, look, we've seen the need, and we saw that, you know, last year we saw that as well. You know, we saw that there was a need for roading, so we put a 2.5% in there last year. You know, we've actually realised actually we need more, and central government are actually also saying to us, we want to see this council put an effort out towards it as well. So it's about making sure that we can get that trade-off effectively from central government for extra funding as well. Councillor Pulse.
Thank you, Worship. It's echo some a lot of the words. Of course, there's a lot of concern when you're talking about putting rate increases in place, but this is, to me, as a council been here for some time, it's a really good lot of teamwork going on at the moment. We've had our senior leadership team challenged with bringing us some solutions to the situation over rate increases and future development of our district. And it's good to see that teamwork working. I've been very critical of jobs not being completed in recent times, and we're trying to get council in a proactive mood and to actually support some initiatives that are brought by staff and brought by councillors. One of the big holdbacks was having enough OPEX money to deliver our products and our workload. Well, that is what we're trying to say here, is if we go with a larger package, we can actually pick up a lot of benefits across the district. Now, at the commencement of each term, we sign a triennial agreement with the other councils of Northland to do the best for Northland. And in this case, we're the gateways through to the Far North District Council, and all our roads impact on their ability to do work and compete in the markets, etc. So our responsibility goes a bit beyond our boundaries, but at the same time, I must back up our chairman who moved the motion, our chairman of infrastructure, and I'm the alternate delegate on the Northern Regional Transport Committee, and we've been told that construction costs for roading are going to range anywhere between 15 to 20% for this coming year, not the normal 5%. And so we're not going out with a wish list to create more roads. What we're saying is we need a fund sufficient to attract the maximum subsidies that the government will consider and allocate to us. We're also in competition with Te Rāwhiti and all the Hawke's Bay area about funding for roads. So we need to be able to pick up of any available subsidies and back our chairman to go and beat the drum as loud as he can in the Regional Land Transport Committee to make sure we get our share. Okay, so in the past, we've had storm damage in the past and we've dealt with it in different ways. We had $14 million worth of work in the 2007 flood. And the council of the day said, we will not go out and borrow money and we'll slash all the projects in our long-term plan, basically, and that's what happened. But all that did was slow down the whole development of our district. Now, I don't think any of our residents and ratepayers would want us to slow down the development of our district when we've got a real growth node council going ahead at the moment. So it's one of those balancing things, but this is going out to the public for consultation. The feedback I've had so far talking to people in the district is no one likes the situation we're in, but let's try and keep our district well prepared and make sure our roading particularly can service the industries and our business sector. Because at the moment, they're not. Every truck that has to go around, Dargaville's adding $600 or $700 a trip, and they've got to find that money from somewhere. So we're there as a council to support our businesses and support our ratepayers and try and get the most efficient roading network we can. So we've got an opportunity here to do it, and I'll just try to wait for the feedback and hope it's positive. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Holtz. Since everyone has spoken, Councillor Reid, would you like to reply?
Yes, Your Worship, I certainly would. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for your determinations and your wishes and thoughts. And I respect every one of you for it, and I would think a lot less of you if you hadn't brought them to the table. It would be a euphoric state if we could sit here and say we're not going to have any rate rises at all, but that, I'm afraid, is just not reality. And yes, the election that we had, none of us wanted rate rises, but that was prior to Gabrielle, along with a number of other weather events prior. I hear councillors complaining or having complaints handed to them about trees staring them in the face when they drive down the road, and we need to get rid of them. And it doesn't sit well with me knowing that we've got that situation. The government has made a statement that they want to build back better. That costs money. If you're going to take something that's broken and repair it, you need X amount of money. If you want to make it better so that you don't have to repair it again, you've got to make the investment. And that is the plan we're working through with the Regional Transport Committee, is that we put more into the capital expenditure, we build back better, we construct better, we reconstruct to last. That lowers your OPEX cost for maintenance later on. Once you get in front, it is easier to maintain. And bear in mind that we are staring down 18 to 20% increases in the cost of all this work. And we need to carry this out now while the government is being kind enough to offer us these subsidies. And whilst we have not got them completely nailed down yet, they are extremely substantial to the point where we could be very, very much better off, not just a little bit better. Thank you, Your Worship. That's all good.
Councillors, the right replies being had. We'll now vote. All in favour?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Against.
Would you like to report against?
Yes, please.
So Councillor Benny and Councillor Go like to report against. Is carried. Councillors, now we're going to move this into confidential. I'll move. Is there a seconder? Councillor Knott seconding. All those in favour?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried.